We all love the idea of finding hidden treasures inside our homes. Imagine just stumbling across a secret passageway or underground lair inside your own house. Well, for one man, this exciting dream actually came true, in a way no one had expected. Before we start, can we get this video to 1,000 likes? Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. This man found something extremely unusual in his home, which led to the discovery of a decades-long secret that no one had expected. It all began when James noticed some strange markings on the wall of his home. He racked his brains for what they might be a sign of, and asked his friends and neighbors within the building, but no one else had any idea either. But James couldn't shake the idea that there was something more behind this mystery, and decided to dig a little deeper. But he had no idea the incredible discovery that was to come. One particular thing that stood out about these strange markings was that they all appeared to be round in shape. Upon looking a little closer, James also observed that two of the holes were quite small, but one was much larger, perhaps even large enough to fit a person. Did he dare delve into, literally, this mystery even further? James had no idea that his discovery was about to go viral and hit headlines around the world. James was entranced by the idea of what could possibly be hidden behind these strange markings on his walls. So he decided to plunge finally into the holes themselves and upload the video of his discoveries with his YouTube followers. It was time to finally plunge into the mystery that had been plaguing his thoughts for so long. Initially, he focused on one of the smaller holes and started drilling in to find what might be hiding there. He had no idea the secrets within that he was about to discover. As James began to drill into one of these smaller holes, he was surprised by how quickly he discovered what was inside. Whereas the rest of the walls were made of concrete, these mysterious holes seemed to have been filled in with wood. James tapped on the wooden filling, and something immediately became clear to him. He went and fetched one of his most trusted and dependable friends and asked him to come and have a look. The friend was equally flummoxed by what on earth might lay behind these mysterious holes. Eventually, James and his pal were able to loosen one of the wooden plugs filling the small hole. They peered carefully through using a flashlight and a steady hand. Just what sort of secret chamber had been hidden away in there? As they continued to peer through the hole, their gaze soon turned to the larger person-sized hole. There was only one thing to do. The truth was, James had no idea just what might be hiding behind these mysterious holes in the walls. What he did know was that the building he was living in was several centuries old. Once used as an industrial factory, it had seen hundreds of years go by and remained standing through various renovations and God knows how many residents and iterations. What on earth was Cyrex 686 thinking, you might think? Well, actually, the risk was even bigger. As James admitted, he did not own this home, but was renting it from a landlord. What on earth would the landlord think about this large hole being drilled in the wall? But for James, it was a risk he was willing to take for the sake of uncovering the truth. After he posted his first video, he found he was getting more and more comments from astonished viewers. Some were just as intrigued as he was, but others were more cynical, warning him that it might get him in trouble with the landlord, or something even worse. Exposing himself to, James carried on with his mission to drill through this mysterious hole in the wall and see just where it might take him. He drilled and drilled until finally, he had opened up the human-sized hole for him to get through it. When he looked through the huge hole he had just created, he could see a large empty room in complete darkness and secrecy. The dark room expanded deep into the caverns, and in the darkness, James couldn't see just how far it really went. And so, he decided to do the unthinkable. As viewership grew and grew on James' YouTube channel, and the further he delved into this thrilling experiment, more and more people began to speculate about what might be revealed behind the secrets of this hidden room. The world watched in awe as James leaped through the hidden hole and into the dark, silent unknown. Just what would he find in its hidden walls? One thing that particularly struck James as he descended into the dark and secret room was the utter silence and stillness inside. But for James, the silence was showing him something else. The utter lack of noise was clear evidence that this secret room had been sealed off from all sides. But there were more. Much more disturbing discoveries to come. But it seemed that the more things he discovered, the more sinister and suspicious the motives behind this secret room seemed to be. First, James found a random pipe abandoned on the floor, connected to nothing at all. But then he found a sharp hook, and it was hanging from the ceiling. As well as these mysterious clues and slightly sinister objects he had found in the room, James also found something very strange and unusual on the walls of the room itself. Looking up and down and all over the room, he could see that there were strange lines etched on the walls on every side. This felt like a super important clue as to the true nature of the room. But what did it mean? That's when James turned to his YouTube viewers for some help in finding the truth. James thought and thought, and the clues seemed to keep coming back to the mysterious lines running down the walls. Suddenly, James had a realization of what this might mean, and what it said about the truth behind this secret room. He realized that only one thing could have caused lines in this exact formation: by the long-term flow of some kind of liquid running through it. Could it have been a sewage storage facility, he wondered? In fact, the truth was something else entirely. And James didn't do all of this thinking and deducing of mysteries totally on his own. He also was regularly checking up on his YouTube page, looking at any of the comments from fans and viewers that might contain helpful suggestions or tips. Thanks to the useful and helpful tips left on his video page, he worked out that it was probably an old-fashioned water cistern, a type of large tank that would have been used back in the times when the building was used as an industrial factory. So one mystery had been solved, but a deeper one remained. The fact was that when cisterns are no longer needed, it is very common that they are simply closed off from the rest of the building, rather than the expensive and long process of removing them. This means that James had actually taken far greater risks than he had ever realized. He could have opened up a massive leak of water or sewage, flooding right into his home. Not only was James proud of himself for finding the secret room, but his decision to upload the adventure onto YouTube meant he had scores of people from all over the world able to help him and offer helpful suggestions he might not have thought of himself. Despite the success of the adventure, many were still worried as to what James' landlord would do when he found out about his explorations, but no one could have predicted how he actually would react. James later added in a comment on the video that not only had the landlord not minded about his curious excavations, but he had even managed to still get his security deposit back. Like James, his viewers, and the rest of us, he must have been simply fascinated to discover this long-hidden mystery within his own walls.